by reason. And although I wrote the book so that the reason is perfectly explained and described with pictures and photographs and how anybody can find this themselves and look at it, it's not at all. And so I realized that there would be no point in writing this up for professional people to read, because they have no more rational approach than anybody else. And the person on the street, really, the mechanic who was fixing my car, had a better attitude than all my friends. In fact, I lost them all. I must say I lost all my friends because they were mad at me. I'm sorry about that. Wish I hadn't lost them. If I had not said anything, I wouldn't have lost them. But I was so surprised that they were not at all rational about this. And to this day, I wonder why that is, why there is that phenomenon out there that when something wonderful happens, you don't want to hear about it. But the good news is that you're here tonight, and you do want to hear about it, and that's why I wrote the book. These other people, even friends, told me that nobody would be interested in this, nobody would build anything, and it was, not at all something you would expect anybody to even read. And I thought, there must be people out there. There are lots of people out there, parents, friends, family, who are interested in this and who would build something and who would go to the trouble of trying to understand what causes the illness and then pursue it in their ordinary rational way. The way you peel potatoes and then you cook them and then they're soft enough to eat, all that's a rational way to do things. And so I'm very glad I did, because you're out there and you're the people who make the success. It's not the book that makes success. It's you people out there who read it, think that you want to do something about the health tragedy that's going on out there, cancer and AIDS and a bunch of other new diseases and resurgence of old diseases. And you know that those are getting worse, and the reason they're getting worse is that we don't understand them. But now that there is a message for you to understand them, you will be interested and will try to understand your own diseases and that of your friends and family. So that's why I started out to say it's a happy, happy day. And I'm especially happy that it happened before the turn of the century. Just something about that I think is neat. Now, we didn't wait for the next century to help our children out and our grandchildren and the rest. There is a way that they can figure out what disease is made of and go after it in an ordinary, rational way, not beyond the reach of the ordinary housewife and all the women out there. I'm particularly interested in the women building these things. I hope you don't say, oh, my husband built this for me, or my boyfriend built this for me. Come on, get into it yourself. Touch those wires, clip those clips on, and see if you can get the light to turn on. And you will feel such a sense of pride and such a sense of being in control of your own destiny. We have a chance. We have a chance now to turn the health picture around for the human race. We have a chance to double our income by not spending it on illness. Of course, that's not very good for the purveyors of medicines. But somebody ought to stop me at some point here. I think
we can listen to you for a long time yet. But if you wish to stop,
I'll try to find a good stopping point, and then if you have some questions, Anything that isn't personal, I'll answer. Don't ask me though what my address or telephone number is or anything like that. But anything that's to the point, business, namely health and disease, and out with it. We've got to find out what the cause of our diseases are and say out with it. We will have no more of it, because now that we understand it, we're not going to just take Tegretol and phenobarbital for our children with seizures and all the other diseases that are now just neatly labeled over and treated over and allowed to get worse and worse without ever getting any real treatment.
Thank you very much, Dr. Clark. We've been sitting now for about an hour and a half, and some of you came quite early. Let us take a 5-minute break, and then following that, we're going to ask 4 people in particular to come and share with us their healing experience. Following that, we'll have questions and answers, and let the evening end as it will. Thank you for that.
Thank you. My name's Joanne Stewart, and I've never met Dr. Clark, but I've certainly felt the impact of her work, and I'm very grateful to her. A year ago, October, actually the end of September and then confirmed in early October, my father was diagnosed with terminal cancer of the bile duct and given a few months to live. He had a shunt put in the bile duct just as a temporary measure. We were told that there was no effective treatment for it. They would not use radiation or chemotherapy with him. There was an operation, but they were not recommending it because of his weakened condition and his age, which was 74 at the time. They did say that if he did decide to have the operation and take the risk, it was very high risk, that he would have to have it by the end of that month, October a year ago, or he might as well not bother, because he was just going to deteriorate. So he was in such a weakened condition. My parents came and started living with me and my family. We were trying some natural things on him that we had just started. But I just fortunately went to a health food store to pick something up, and the person there said, "Have you heard about this new book that's out?" And it was Dr. Clark's book, and I hadn't heard of it, and bells didn't ring and lights didn't flash, but I was desperate, and I asked, "Do you sell these things?" They said, "No, but just a few blocks down at Consumer Health, you can get the herbs and the book." So I went down and started him on the 3 herbs immediately that evening, and I started reading the book. It was the Thanksgiving weekend, and I started reading the book as I was giving him these herbs. When I started, he was not lucid. He was not drinking or eating and not getting up. Within a day, he started to drink a little bit. Within 2 days, he started to eat a little bit, and on the 3rd day, he got up and looked at a bit of television. By the 4th day, which was the Monday of the long weekend, I was able to tell him that this is something new. This is not just a treatment. This is a claim to be a cure for cancer. And I'd been reading the book, and I remember at some point, I think it was probably the Sunday, where I got such a strong feeling that this is bigger than the end of World War II in terms of its impact on human beings. So he was well enough within 3 weeks that my parents went home. And he was still yellowish, but he was driving, and they went dancing on their 51st wedding anniversary, and he was weak, and he had his ups and downs, but he was still alive. And when he'd go to the doctor, he'd say he was using some herbal medicine, I guess he called it, and the doctor would say, "Well, whatever it is you're doing, just keep it up," and just was supportive in that sense. He was weak, and he never really got to where I would like to have seen him. We were trying to reduce the propyl alcohol. It's sometimes difficult with people convincing them how much they have to do in order to become well.